Coming up on Advocate today, Brittney Griner, spending her birthday behind bars. The latest on efforts to bring the basketball star home to her family. Plus, we'll give you a glimpse into season 2 of One of Us is Lying. We talk with Jessica McLeod about returning to her role as Janae, about cyberbullying and representation on screen. And you'll soon be able to do much more on your Uber Eats app than just quench your cravings for munchies. What people in one city will soon be able to order without even leaving their home. That's all coming up on Advocate today. Hello and welcome to Advocate today. I'm Rachel Smith, in for Tracy E. Gilchrist. And we begin with Brittney Griner, who is spending her 32nd birthday in Russian prison. Griner was detained back in February and later sentenced for having cannabis oil in her possession. Her legal team will appeal her 9-year sentence in a Moscow court. After receiving dozens of birthday messages, Griner released a statement thanking fans for their support. Her friends and family have launched a We Are BG campaign to pressure the U.S. government to bring her home. Griner's wife, Sherelle Griner, says she's hoping for Brittney's swift and safe return. President Biden recently announced he would meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but only to discuss the release of the WNBA star. Actress Selma Blair is leaving Dancing with the Stars due to health concerns. In 2018, the actress revealed she'd been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Despite competing strongly in the last few weeks of competition, she said her body had taken a hit, and if she continues, it could result in extensive damage. Blair completed one final dance with her partner, a waltz to What the World Needs Now is Love. Well, fans of the Pecan series One of Us is Lying won't have to wait for season 2 much longer. The show is back with the same dynamic cast. Tracy Gilchrist spoke with Jessica McLeod about energy on set, providing queer representation, and more.
I just want to start by asking you what it was like to come back to shoot the second season after, the first season was so buzzy and people were into it.
It was exciting. I've not been in a situation like this before where I've had such a big part in something that then continues over multiple years. So it's been a really interesting challenge for me as an actor. And then also it's just nice, seeing your friends at work, going back with all your friends. Yeah.
Trust me, I work from home now. And I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for that. The show, it's a twisty mystery and all of that is fun, of course, but it also tackles issues that high school teens face. One of them is cyberbullying. And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about how that resonates in the show and why it's relevant.
I mean, yeah, I think that there's a reason that in season 2, kind of all of the terror comes from this amorphous Simon Says, whatever that is, whoever that is. And I think that is that feeling of oh, when I check my phone, what's it going to be? Is something going to happen to me? Am I going to see something that I don't want to see? Did other people see me doing something? I just feel like it's probably very stressful to be in high school now with phones everywhere, cameras everywhere. And I think that, the show kind of uses that effectively for our audience, just, that stress and that constant awareness that you might be being watched or you might not be able to fully be yourself because people are always around and on their phones and ready to perhaps judge you. So I think
it feels very real.
Yeah.
You've talked about the LGBTQ plus visibility in the show before, but I'm watching it and there's really a lot of different experiences and a lot of different kinds of queer kids in this show, which we don't often get. Usually there's a token queer kid, but we have Cooper, Chris, Maeve. Janae. And I'm not convinced that Addie doesn't have some kind of energy.
You're speaking to the correct person. I could not agree more. I could not agree more.
Their scenes together, I'm like,
Yeah, something, there's an energy. There's
yeah, a definite energy. So to that point, though, would you expound a little bit about what it means to you to be a part of a project that is illuminating all these different kinds of queer experiences and not just kind of pigeonholing them?
Yeah. First of all, I'm glad that you are excited by that amount of representation and how different everything is. I think that's really, if the show can do anything, I really hope it's that. And I think I feel excited to be a part of something that does feel like they allow their queer characters for that not to be the most important part of their character. Like, nobody's gay just to be gay. Like,
Right.
just to be like, that's a gay person. Anyway, like, here's the plot. Like, I think that, which
Right.
is great. And
We're covering up a murder, plus we're queer.
it's like some gays. Yeah. And I think I feel, I think a little bit, it's an interesting position for me to be in as like a white, very cis presenting person, to be the one who's like, hey, like, I'm going to talk about queerness in the show. Like, I think it's, obviously I appreciate the opportunity, but I think the showrunners are really committed to this, as well as the network. Like, I would love to see more diversity in terms of gender. I would love to see more diversity, like more people of color who are queer on the show. Like, I would just, it's really, it's cool to me to be a part of something that is very committed to, in the future, continuing to like open up different conversations and open up different avenues. But the ones that we have so far are, I think for the most part, like a very subtle portrayal of like what it's like to be queer now. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say though, I got a few episodes into the new season, and Janae is questioning gender identity a little bit, which is something a lot of folks go through. And would you talk a little bit about portraying that journey and what that means to you?
Sure. So I came out publicly as gender fluid last year around this time, and then since then I've kind of settled currently at non-binary. Makes the most sense to me, but I mean, it's always changing, so it could be different.
Sure.
But when that was happening for me, I reached out to the showrunner, and Janae in season 1, a lot of Janae was me. Like, Janae was not a big part of the books, so I think that making Janae a bigger character in season 1, the writers were sort of like, how are we going to flesh out this person? Who is this person? And I feel like I had a really strong point of view because I related a lot to them in high school, and I thought, like, if you're open to it, like, I'll bring this and this and this, and then you guys can go with that, which they did, and I'm very grateful for that. But in season 2, I was like, I guess it makes sense, like, for it to continue being me. So I think they definitely were. They were ready to hear kind of my perspective, and then certain things they put in and certain things they didn't. And I think that what ends up on screen, I hope, is something that's going to make at least one person watching it being like, oh, I feel that way sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it's very representative to me of like the beginnings of my gender fluid, gender queer experience. And I feel excited for that storyline this year, because I think as the season goes on, it's much more like there's a big scene episode 3 where I talked to Addie about it, but I think after that, like that's kind of the pinnacle of the drama of it. And then everything else after that is just Janae like kind of like bumbling through, being like, I don't know, like this, I guess. And then like everyone around them is very, very supportive, and like there's almost no questions about it. And they just kind of like go on as normal, which I think is ideal for me.
Thanks so much to Tracy and Jessica for that great conversation. And you can see One of Us is Lying, which is streaming now on Peacock. Okay, finally today, Uber Eats is shaking up the delivery game with a brand new feature. It just announced it will begin delivering marijuana in the Toronto area. The company is teaming up with the online marijuana marketplace Leafly and will use 3 local retailers. Residents over the age of 19 can use the app to order from those retailers. The marijuana will be delivered by workers who've been certified under CanSell, the province's cannabis retail education program. Uber Eats says the new service will help cut down on impaired driving and combat the illegal cannabis market. Well, for more content and coverage like this, open the Advocate channel. It's streaming now on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV. You can also download our app on your Android or Apple devices. I'm Rachel Smith. We'll see you next time on Advocate Today. Take care.